Welcome to carpfishing.tips. This week we've been rained out. The whole week preceding this, we've just had rain upon rain upon rain upon rain, which is wonderful because we're having problems with water and our dam levels are low. So we decided to make some homemade pop-up boilies. We got some stuff from the baking aisle, including some flavors, some citric acid and bicarb, which is our secret weapon, some corn flour, full cream milk powder, flour, bran, and 4 eggs. We got 4 different flavors: strawberry, lemon, banana, and pineapple. And there are the 4 eggs we're going to need. And our first boilie mix has 1 cup of bran, half a cup of corn flour, half a cup of milk powder, 1 teaspoon bicarb, 1.25 teaspoons of citric acid, 2 large eggs, and 1 teaspoon of chopped garlic from your local store. The mix of bicarb and citric acid should be 1 bicarb to 1.25 citric acid. So whether that's a teaspoon, a tablespoon, a pinch, whatever it is, those are the measurements you should be using. It's 1 to 1 1/4. Next you add the eggs to the mix. We try to do it with a spoon. Doesn't work that well. Just use a glove in your hands. Mixes it much better. The other thing we added was, once we'd made the boilie mix, we split it into 2 so that we could add pineapple flavoring to the one half and banana flavoring to the other half. We pretty much nosed it, in that we just kept adding flavoring until we could smell it through the bran and the garlic. It was about 4 lidfuls of the flavoring cap, so 4 capfuls from the flavoring bottle. In our second boilie mix, we used 1 cup flour, half a cup milk powder, half a cup corn flour, strawberry flavoring, and lemon flavoring. Again, we split the boilie mix into 2, and we put strawberry in the one, lemon in the other. In this one we didn't put any strong smells like garlic or cinnamon or almond or anything like that. We just went with pure, well, I suppose lemon could be considered a strong smell because it's not sweet or anything like that. Again, we added the 2 eggs. Use your gloves, it's way easier. The one mistake we made with the second boilie mix was we ended up adding water to the mixture, which made it really thin and not very, it wouldn't hold its shape very well. It would still hold the shape, but it wouldn't hold it very well. So add water very slowly if it's dry, specifically with this boilie mix, because it turns into a dough very quickly and very easily. This is what our second boilie mix looked like. As you can see, the dough is pretty doughy, but it's still quite soft. It doesn't hold its form as well, but it still worked. We then started to roll the boilies into little balls to make them look like boilies, although this is not required, as you'll see further on in the video. We thought we'd just try and stick with the boilie theme. So we made boilies of each of the mixes. We made 10 of each, and we're going to show you how we're going to cook them, I suppose, and prepare them to actually be used. So here we are piercing the boilies with toothpicks. This is really just to see if pre-making the hole would make any kind of difference to the buoyancy and the rate of buoyancy the boilie would experience. Does it matter if you drill them or not? And here we go. We have a rolling boil going on the stove, and we're about to toss in our first boilie mix, which is the bran, I think. Yeah, it's the bran. So basically you're just going to toss them into the boiling water and let them go for about 2 to 3 minutes. Some people say 5, some say 6. If you can just watch those boilies on the toothpick, watch how big they get as they start to boil. You might have to rewind this just to see what the original size was, but these boilies actually expand, and that's because of the citric acid and bicarb. Citric acid and bicarb is basically baking powder, but it's like 4 or 5 times stronger or something crazy like that. So the reason why we used citric acid and bicarb is because if baking powder is used in baking to make the stuff light and to make cakes and bread light and fluffy, that means that there's air inside the cake. So by extension, if you do the same thing to a boilie, now you'll see, so we decided to try some in the oven, and we're also microwaving some boilies. So the idea would be that, you know, with the citric acid and the bicarb, because it's so powerful, well, it's exponentially stronger than baking powder, it'll actually expand the boilie, and that'll give us more buoyancy because there'll be more air inside. As you can see here, when you microwave boilies, do them at like 30-second intervals. Make sure that you put nothing in the middle, no boilies in the middle, and put boilies around the sides of the microwave tray. You'll see they'll be amazing. Look at those 2 boilies that are on the toothpick. They've literally gotten so big they've almost connected with each other. Okay, here we've cut to another batch that we're busy cooking. The first batch we didn't go so well. They almost came out and they were a bit, they were very loose. So we tried it again to see, I can't remember what the problem was. I did something and I messed it up. But yeah, the next few batches were much better. What we did also try as a tip, if you've got boilies that you want to air dry quickly, put them in an oven, you know, once you're done cooking in the oven, or if you can, switch the oven on, turn it on at a low heat, let it warm up, and then just turn it off, put the boilies in and just let them sit there. We found that it dried them out quite nicely, and that's basically what you want from the boilies. Here you can see the second mix. This is the second boilie mix that we made, the one that was a bit runny on our, well, that we found was a bit runny and soft. They still boiled just fine. They were still a bit, they were a bit soggier than the other boilies, and I'm within the first mix, and I assume that's just because there was more water in it, so it couldn't get rid of them. And here you see the microwave ones. As you can see, we did have a bit of a burning incident with one of them, but I don't know, it must have just had more water in it than the others. The microwaving boilies is actually really simple, really easy, and it's quick. So if you're ever stuck and you need to make boilies in a hurry, definitely microwave, or the oven is by far way faster, way faster. So here we have all the different types. That's ones that were in the oven. They still smell a little bit. Not a hell of a lot, but decent amount. Those are from the microwave, and they're quite hard. And then there are other 3 sets. Yeah, well, let's get into the testing, guys, because that's what we really want to see. Just before we go into the testing, if you don't feel like making boilies that are round, this is another way you could make them. well, you won't make round boilies, but you'll make a type of boilie. It makes the boilie square. Just put them in between some baking paper. Flatten out the dough as best you can. I do have a rolling pin, but I just decided not to use it because I thought, why would I want to make my life easier? It makes more sense to just press down the dough. Okay, so once you've got it to the thickness you want, you normally want to go a little bit thinner than the size you actually want it to be. And then just take a knife, cut it long ways. Well, you're basically going to cut it down the length of it, and then you're going to cut it by the height of it, and that'll give you the little squares. And then you can either boil the little squares, you can microwave the little squares, you can even stick them in the oven. So yeah, I mean, you'll be amazed at the results. They do come out in little squares. It's not the classic boilie shape, but I don't think the fish really care. And here we are running the home test. So we've done this before. Just fill up a vat with some water. We put them all on hair rigs. Don't ask me why the middle one had to be so high, but apparently the dental floss I used decided that it had to be that length. In our next test, we'll keep them all at around about the same height in the water. We ran the test for about 48 hours. We started on Saturday, and then Sunday, and then Monday night we took them all out of the vat. As you can see, they were holding up quite well on the first day. This is day number 2. The white one on the left is a baked one, and as you can see, one of the baked ones, it has dropped slightly, but not as much as you'd think for a baked homemade boilie. By the way, they all seem to float. We didn't test a boiled boilie here, but the few tests we've ran prior to this, even the boiled one using this mix seemed to float a little bit, but we didn't hook it up to a hook. We want to run that test, but we'll probably do it at one of the local dams when we go fishing again, if the weather permits. And as you can see, this is day 2. Well, this is close to the end of the 48 hours. This was like our 47 and 10 minutes, 47 and 50 minutes. As you can see, all the boilies have dropped in the water column. They've gotten really soft. Even the white one is quite energetic. Just made sure that everything's standing on its own 2 feet. Yeah, the boilies were really soft, as you can see there. As I touch it, the cloud comes off of it. Yeah, and that's it, guys. So hopefully you guys learned a new trick in terms of making homemade pop-up boilies. We hope this will work for you. As we've said, we haven't really tested it in the dam, so I don't know how long it'll stay buoyant in the dam. For some reason, you know, in the field things are very different to at home in a homemade test. But these pop-up boilies are actually they're actually working really well in terms of how buoyant they are. We're really surprised. Anyway, guys, as always, please share with a carpy friend, like, subscribe, dislike the video, like the video, but most importantly, share with a carpy friend.